Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff. No co-host tonight. No co-host Chip. Chip is out there somewhere in the ecosystem, somewhere in the stratosphere. But what is up, everybody? Today, we're going to get into Ripple, XRP, SEC, Congress. SEC and Congress get it wrong on crypto. More delays for SEC v Ripple. Looks like that's getting pushed back to October, maybe November. We'll see. It's just going to keep us the gift that keeps on giving. And man, the one biggest point with all of this, either you go big or you go home, right? So there's a ton of stuff to cover tonight. We're going to get into some of the things going on with Coinbase, Binance, some of the interesting news on XRP. There's actually some things that recently came out on Ethereum, DNS, ENS, on a .com. What is all that about? We'll a little bit. Some interesting tweets from Jerry Britto and a whole lot more. You guys ready to kick this thing off? I say we go. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right. So as we get started here, people run into the room at rapid speed, lightning rapid speed, trying to get in here. Before we get started, big shout out to Permission.io. Tonight's show brought to you by Permission.io. You guys out there browsing around the internet, bumping in to all sorts of ads, and those big companies are monetizing off your data. You watch their ads, they make the money. Hey, it's win-win for them. I don't know about for all of us that are engaging with those ads, but Permission.io created this nice program and a browser extension. Go over there. You actually get to find a way to monetize your data by watching an ad like you're already watching, except you get to watch and earn the ASK token, ASK token. It's really cool. A lot of people, this is their first time engaging with crypto because that ASK token, and you can find it over on BitTrue right now, but there's a lot going on in that space. There was a big announcement that we covered with Permission over on Google Cloud. So go back and check that out. Big shout out to everyone coming in. Why don't you give a quick shout out to where you guys are tuning in from? Why? Because we have people from all over the world that tune into On the Chain, every single continent. People bounce in. Everybody's super excited to engage. And we have by far the smartest people in the entire crypto space right here with us tonight. So let's start off. Let's jump right into XRP. There's some big news with XRP, and also a big shout out to El Hoco because he was the first one that jumped into the room tonight. So anyhow, let's see what we got. We've got some Ripple XRP. Now what's interesting about this XRP is that 256 million XRP were moved. Now that 256 million XRP, that's worth about $300 million. And I thought I shared the screen. I'm looking over there. I forgot to put it up there. Check it out. 256 million XRP. Now this was done on Coinbase. So transferred from one wallet to the other wallet on Coinbase. Coinbase moving it. Not sure exactly what's happening. Their internal wallets. Something's getting ready to get fired up over there. It says here, curiously, the Nasdaq listed crypto trading venue suspended XRP trades in January with another of the other major exchanges like Bitstamp and Binance and some of the others, all because of the SEC v Ripple suit, as we all know. Now, a lot of stuff heating up right now. We've got, look at this, Binance shifts 100 million XRP to China. What's up with that? Large transactions of XRP were detected by Whale Alert earlier this week. Top-tier crypto exchange Binance transferred a staggering 100 million XRP in two sums. The recipient was the largest crypto exchange in China, Huobi. So 100 million XRP over to Huobi. 256 million XRP migrating around Coinbase. What do you guys think's happening? Are they positioning it to unload it, or are they positioning it to something else? It was something that's going to have to be tracked, because this is really interesting. This is really interesting. So let's see what we got here. I'm just looking to see if nope. All right, very cool. Very cool. All right, so check this out. Let's bounce over to this one. This is the extension. This is the delay, right? So XRP case, Ripple and SEC file joint motion to extend discovery deadline to depose Garlinghouse and Larson. Now, the counsel for both Ripple and the SEC want the deadline to extend to November 12th of 2021. So anyone who is expecting settlement before the end of the year, probably not going to happen. Still more going on. The motion was filed to the District Court of the Southern District of New York. Now, by the time we get to that deadline of November 12th, then this case is going on almost 1 year since it began, December 22nd of 2020. No signs of reaching a settlement. Here, it's worth mentioning the SEC's request for a 60-day extension of the fact and expert discovery deadline to the 15th of October was earlier approved by Judge Netburn. Yet it seems that expert discovery will continue for another month and another month and another month. Now, a lot's going on. This isn't going to be settled and solved early. I know there are others that thought there'd be settlement a couple months ago. Chip and I looked at it. I said, first of all, my opinion, I'm not an attorney. I just look at it from analyzing my experience of what happens in the world. I said, there's no way when Ripple got into this, they didn't get into this to settle some loosely held case. They got into it to come out with an outcome. And now here it says, Philan says, in my experience, anyone who thinks this case is settling anytime soon should reconsider. And it's very, very accurate in my opinion as well. So those are some of the interesting things going on with XRP right here, right now. I thought, I'm looking at that and like, hey, this is crazy, right? So now, as we go through this space, and I don't want to go through, we'll just go boom, 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 go one thing at a time. Focus in on what's important. So we have the SEC going after Ripple. There's a lot of things going on right now in Congress. Obviously, there's a lot of distraction. Unfortunately, huge prayer and thoughts going out to our service members who lost their lives today in two suicide bombings over in Afghanistan. Horrible turn of events over there. So we've got a lot of distraction going on, yet Congress seems to continuously want to push forward with the infrastructure bill. Now, it's interesting because as all of this stuff's unfolding, I want to get into this right now. There's some interesting things coming out of Thailand, the Thai SEC proposing some new regulation. South Korea getting ready to shut down like 23 or 24 of their 63 or so exchanges. They have some new regulation coming up. Now, a big one here, and I think getting into the heart of all of this, to start out. So we have the SEC. We just covered extension. So now there's going to be more extension on that. But the infrastructure bill with crypto being packed into it has riled up the community. So many people now within the crypto community are now hyper focused on what's going on within Congress. A couple of videos ago, a couple of days ago, we talked about and we dug into a little bit referencing the Token Taxonomy Act, amongst other things. And obviously the Token Taxonomy Act is crucial and one of the best overlooked pieces of legislation for the crypto space at all. But the one thing that's key here is that now there is so much focus on what's going on within Congress that the crypto community is getting active, and you're starting to see it over on Twitter as well. So if you look at this, you look at what's going on here. Crypto sees potential trouble as U.S. blocks changes to the infrastructure bill. Despite calls from Democrats and Republicans to revise the crypto tax proposal, the House Rules Committee agreed on restricting amendments from the controversial bill. Now, how does something like this happen? They restricted the amendments to it. The House Rules Committee has blocked infrastructure bill changes and voted 220 to 220 to lock in the procedure with a resolution approved. This was a couple days ago on Tuesday. The committee that determines the rules of debate for bills lined up for a vote has agreed that the U.S. House of Reps will decide on the $1.3 trillion infrastructure bill without any amendments to the crypto tax provision, and they're going to do so by the 27th. Now, you look at what's going on with that, and you say, how could they pass this without any amendment whatsoever? You know, what's going on behind the scenes that gets them to think in such a direction where this is allowed to happen? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever, right? So who are they answering to? Are they answering to the voters? Are they answering to the lobbyists? It just seems like over and over and over again, those in the U.S. House of Representatives or in the Senate, they seem to have ignored over and over and over again those that voted them into office to begin with, those that they're meant to be representing. Now, we saw when the infrastructure bill, when the crypto was packed into it, those within the crypto community rose up in mass, and we keep referencing that. Now, check this out. How did I pull this down again? So let's go over to this interesting tweet. This is from Jerry Britto. It's really soft. I bit my tongue, and you know when you bite your tongue, you bite it like 3 times in a row. I did that earlier, and now it's just like it's constantly bothering me. It's ridiculous. So Jerry Britto. Now, who is Jerry Britto? That's first and foremost, because we want to go through, and he has a series of tweets that he put together in reference to what's happening with this infrastructure bill. Now, Jerry Britto is the executive director of Coin Center, a DC-based think tank focused on the public policy issues facing crypto tech such as Bitcoin. I also serve on the boards of Copa and Brink. So check this out. He's testified several times before Congress on the topic of cryptocurrencies. He holds briefings for policymakers. He's presented on cryptocurrency at the White House, the Treasury Department, the State Department, the SEC, and the CFTC. He has research that's been published in the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy and Stanford Tech Law Review, among other outlets, it says here. So he's obviously a who's who. He was named Washington's 100 top tech leaders by the Washingtonian magazine, right? And he's a public speaker. So this guy isn't just coming out of nowhere when he makes certain statements. So he says, I'm glad to hear that the Treasury officials are telling reporters on background that they don't intend to target miners if the infrastructure bill's crypto tax provision becomes law, but I'm afraid that is little comfort. And then he goes in. So here's first and foremost, that's the snippet that he's commenting on. These fears, however, are unwarranted, according to a Treasury official. The U.S. Treasury Department will not target non-brokers such as miners, hardware developers, and others, even if the provision isn't amended. So they don't amend it, yet within this legislation, it allows them the luxury of singling out anybody in the space. So just because someone from the Treasury Department says that they won't target them, even if it's not amended, how is that enough for anybody to rely on? It's in the crypto legislation. It's too ambiguous. Here it says reporting requirements would only be extended to those able to comply, like certain decentralized exchanges, for example, if written into tax law. So then he goes in and he said, there's not enough comfort in what their statement is. It really doesn't make any sense. Said, first, it's a little strange to assure folks that you will not target non-brokers because by definition, only brokers can be subjected to reporting obligation. So you're going to remove the non-brokers, focus on the brokers. And he says, of course, Treasury will never target non-brokers. Whoever's targeted will have been interpreted to be a broker. So they can't target non-brokers, but if they target you, you're definitely not a non-broker, you're a broker. And he said, I love it. It's doubly strange when the point of the bill is to expand the definition of broker. So now the whole idea, they want to be fully inclusive, and they're trying to pack all these different people into becoming a broker and not a non-broker. He says such that the Treasury, because it's ambiguous, could interpret it to cover non-middlemen who would not qualify. Like right now, today, this guy is so spot on as he breaks it down to show how ridiculous the statement is from the Treasury to state that even unamended, they're not going to go after non-brokers. But according to the legislation, anybody can be a broker. And yet the congressional committee just voted to have no amendments to it. I mean, how ignorant, how naive. So it goes on. For example, the article says the Treasury officials said they did not intend to target certain decentralized, did not. So you can target them, but we don't intend to target them. What kind of rules and regulations are those? Don't worry about what it says. We're not going to abide by it. Just because the law is there doesn't mean anything. We see a lot of these big laws that have been broken or infringed lately. One of the biggest ones is our borders. Borders are meaningless. Apparently, crypto legislation is going to be meaningless too, according to the Treasury official, because even though the legislation may be there, they're not going to enforce it. They don't intend to target certain decentralized exchanges. Certain. What does that even mean? More ambiguity. It makes no sense. Then he goes on, well, if an exchange qualifies as a broker under current law, then I'd say it's not decentralized because they're a broker. So certain decentralized exchanges, but if they really understood the tech, they wouldn't be using this terminology. And he's right. There's no such thing as a decentralized exchange. So he says lately there have been days when crypto trading volume through decentralized DEX has outstripped volume, and we can go into that. But then they go on here. So it's not clear who are these certain decentralized exchanges to which they refer. The only kind of entity I can think they mean are software developers who do not broker transactions of the common understanding of the world, of the word. This is just like mind-boggling as I read through this. Here's Jerry is on Capitol Hill, has lectured in front of the SEC and the CFTC and Congress and the White House and all these others. And you can still see the ignorance sitting there in the Treasury Department issuing some ridiculous statement to try to make people feel good about the fact that they're not going to amend, this crypto legislation. I mean, it's just like, it's insane. So it goes on. Second, the expanded definition of broker is only one of the concerns we have with the Portman crypto tax, because they want everyone to be a broker, right? We have other concerns that have not gotten as much attention because they weren't the subject of the bipartisan Senate amendment. So there's so much in it, the bipartisan nature of it, you're getting everyone discussing it. At the end, nothing really happened. We didn't really get anything positive out of it. They still shoved it into the bill. And just like Pelosi said a number of years ago, if you want to see what's in the bill, you've got to pass it. What kind of insanity world do we live in where even the congressional representatives, those in Senate or in the House, are not going to sit down and read 7 or 8,000 pages of a bill? Have you ever read a 7,000 page book? Now try to read a 7,000 page legal document that's dry and boring with all sorts of stuff packed into it. How? 7. For example, the bill would allow Treasury to require reporting from brokers, not just on trades. So now the broker agent is going to have to report every time there's a transfer from one wallet to the other, not a buy and sell. You're moving money from one wallet address to another wallet address. That now needs to be reported as a transaction to the Treasury. And not just broker to broker, but from broker to a non-broker, i.e. a person with a self-hosted wallet. That's similar to the minutia midnight rule. Minution. So you're going to return requirement for certain transfers of digital assets not otherwise subject to reporting. Any broker with respect to any transfer which is not part of a sale or exchange executed by such broker during a calendar year of a covered security. Now here they go with the security word, which is a digital asset from an account maintained by such broker to an account which is not maintained by or an address not associated with a person that such broker knows. So this bill is so ridiculous, so loosely worded, that it's basically all encompassing. It's like you read through it, Jerry's he dissected this thing perfectly. If he could dissect this so well, how many lawyers are sitting in Senate? How many of those elected representatives were actually lawyers? Maybe there's too many lawyers in the room. Maybe none of them actually read the bill. Maybe none of them actually read the crypto legislation. And if they did, they would look through and say, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, maybe they don't even understand anything to begin with. So it goes into 8. The bill would also create an obligation for all crypto transactions over 10,000 to be reported to the IRS along with personal information of the counterparty. This is a massive change to make outside of regular order. And here it is. It goes into section 60501D of such code is amended, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to read it. Jerry says again, number 9, I appreciate that it seems to be Treasury's intention to get this right. Yes, they're trying to figure it out. They want to get it right, but they're saying we're not going to enforce said law. You can't do that. What if the next Treasury person says, I'm going to enforce it, or we're not going to enforce it, and then they enforce it because it's there in the legislation? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I swear we're like living in some alternate universe. Says, I appreciate the intention to get it right, and we look forward to engaging in any regulatory process in the years to come, because he's been there. He's helping to educate them. He's trying to teach them, right? But please don't accept the narrative that folks in crypto are overreacting about this provision, because I believe a lot of them thought that. Those sitting in, they're like, what do these crypto people want? Why are they so upset? We're trying to put through the legislation like they want us to. Then we get into this. Carper Jones, MBA, PhD. It's a lot of letters. Treasury staff will do or say anything to get off the hot seat of holding up top White House leg priority. In 6 months, They'll forget verbal commitments. Exactly. Forget they're going to say it now, but what good is verbal on legislation they're passing that says the exact opposite? These comments are great. Michael Mosier, clearest way for Treasury to end concern: 1, remove it from the bill. Easy. 2, do public engagement to establish common operating picture. 3, public rulemaking with notice and comment to reach widest audience and confirm they have it right. How about that? Why didn't they go to the crypto space and try to figure out why everything is correct? It's crazy. So then it continues here. Why front run the issue with a bill that's hard to undo and causes anxiety? Hard to undo. When it's not clear they need statutory authority until they know what they want to do. Just burns goodwill with industry already demonstrating a will to engage in good faith. I think that statement is everything. What we're seeing at the Senate level in the halls of Congress is that they're burning the goodwill with this industry. They keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. At some point, you say, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm packing my bags and I'm leaving. Going to another country. Going to a country that is more regulatory friendly to the industry that we're trying to build here. Oh my God, it's crazy. Mr. Wright says, politics disgust most people, so they ignore it. And that's the one thing that we can't, as much as it causes us angst and we can't stand it. And we have to, but if we back off of it, these are the things that happen. This is why it's happening, because most people, to Mr. Wright's point, most people have taken a backseat to it. And there's also an expectation that bad things happen in politics and it's commonplace. That's how it's supposed to work. But it really isn't. It's not supposed to work that way. When people speak out, it doesn't happen anymore. And that's the biggest point. So as we understand this type of stuff, I think is so vital. And you see that the crypto space, the one thing that the SEC and the Congress missed is the crypto space is large and it's vocal. And there's a lot of money floating around the crypto space. Lots and lots and lots of money. Maybe not as big as their lobbyist groups, but we're going to see some of these organizations and entities that are in this space are contemplating buying some of those big brick and mortars. Nothing is untouchable. Here, Mark, they decided to stealth in legislation and got caught and are now doing damage control. I'm surprised a journalist even fell for this, to be honest. Clearly doing someone a favor. And that's it. They threw it in at the last minute, thought nobody was paying attention, thought the crypto people were ignoring it, and that's it. Bill says, in U.S. politics and Treasury has become a political player. Every promise has an expiration date. But the Treasury aren't really independent. So you look at these statements and people are upset. People are visibly upset. And then you go down to this one and we'll move on to something else. Michael Saylor, inflation is a safe bet. Bitcoin is a safe haven. He just bought a whole bunch more Bitcoin. Here's the projected worldwide Bitcoin users expressed in internet years. Look at this. 1997 equals Bitcoin 2021. Internet 2005 equals, I don't know what. All right. So that kind of signifies, I guess, growth. Amazon to today, internet. Anyhow, we don't need to get into the Bitcoin stuff right now. But check that. I mean, this is really impressive. Now, one of the other things that's been going on is, that we've seen is Binance, right? And Binance has been taking hits left and right to the point that Brian Brooks resigned from Binance US as CEO and moved on. Now, country to country to country, they keep punching Binance right in the throat. Now, here what we see is the UK's finance watchdog, the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, declared that Binance is not capable of being supervised, right? So this was Wednesday, right? This was Wednesday, yesterday. The FCA said, based upon the firm's engagement to date, the FCA considers the firm is not capable of being effectively supervised. This is a particular concern in the context of the firm's membership of a global group which offers complex and high-risk financial products which pose a significant risk to customers. That's the FCA, right? Now, a Binance spokesperson responded and said, we continue to engage with the FCA to resolve any outstanding issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then today, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, Binance, has complied with requirements in one day. Yesterday, they were not capable of being supervised. Today, they've complied with with all the requirements. It's crazy, It's interesting to me, back and forth, one to the next. So, and it's so important as we kind of dissect this stuff, right? All right, what do we got here? Let me back through the chat, see what you guys are talking about. Anything very cool? Let's see. I know you guys always have the side chats going. We're going to make a show one day just about the side chats. We'll just talk about that. That'd be interesting. Let's see here. All right. You guys have anything specific? Throw it in there. The cryptoverse transcends mere old school geopolitical boundaries. That is, point on. I mean, that's 100%. That's the one thing that these politicians and the brick and mortars don't understand is that if you look at our tiny little community here of On the Chain, we have people from all over the world, from all different places, all different backgrounds, all different career paths, whatever, it's amazing. All different age groups. And typical geopolitical boundaries, you're limited in your exposure to your circle of influence. You don't get to go off unless you're reading in a magazine or a book, or you travel a lot, so you get to be in lots of places. But without that, what we have with our community as we dissect and think about it, and then the crypto community at large, is that it is beyond what any of these economists or these politicians can fathom. Most of them don't understand it. Just because someone has an MBA or a PhD or works in government doesn't mean that they are any smarter or more knowledgeable on a subject than you are. They just happen to be working in that space. And it doesn't mean that they have any more common sense. Many times, they seem to lack the common sense, or they get caught up in the day-to-day and there's external influences pushing them in a certain direction and they ignore it. And we're seeing that over and over and over again, even in the medical community. A lot in the economic communities, but to this point with Jim D, the cryptoverse transcends mere old school. I love it. That's like one of the greatest statements. That's a great statement. I love that one. The cryptoverse transcends mere old school geopolitical boundaries. You know what I'm going to do? Just so I can not forget that one. Let me just, oh, there it is. Look at that. I took a snippet and I'll save that for later. So, Johnny Crypto, they're not nearly as intelligent as the crew here. Exactly. See? Exactly. So it's amazing. I love it. Quick shout out right here to the man, the legend.
Come on, man, Berserker. Berserker.
What is up, Berserker? What's going on? Jeff for Congress 2022. Don't say that too loudly. Crypto is going to swallow everything up, and they know it. They know it. They 100% know it. They know exactly what is coming. They know what's transpiring in front of them, and they can't do anything about it. And they're flailing around. They're trying to make every possible scenario more difficult. All they are speed bumps in the inevitable. If we think in the short term, there's a roadblock. Eventually, that roadblock comes down, or you find a way around that roadblock. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So all these rules are going to end up being eviscerated, or they're going to adjust and change. The dynamics of what's happening right now are unfathomable, to the point that Visa's buying NFTs, Budweiser's buying NFTs, big corporations are getting into this space. People are all over the place getting into the crypto space. Now, the biggest one right now, as we kind of reference some of this stuff, FTX. Now, we've talked about FTX. Why? Because their name is on the Heat Stadium down in Miami. They just put their name on a stadium over in California for like $17.5 million contract. Now, these guys are players. The CEO is like 29 years old, crushing it, billionaire. And here we go. So FTX, there's this, a liquid exchange was hacked. They just got $120 million debt funding from FTX. It's amazing, right? The funding comes soon after Liquid suffered a major hacking incident last Thursday when the exchange hot wallet was compromised. So Japanese crypto exchange Liquid has secured $120 million in debt financing from FTX Trading. How amazing is that? So FTX, their CEO, FTX CEO and founder Sam Bankman-Fried, said that the new financing underpins collaborative efforts of both exchanges to drive crypto adoption and provide better service to the ecosystem. I mean, this is unbelievable. It truly is. FTX getting in debt funding, bailing them out. Think about not that long ago, we covered this. We talked about this was back in July. The same guy, the same CEO of FTX said that one day they might buy Goldman Sachs and CME. Whoever thought of something like that? If the crypto space is built specifically for nefarious purposes, as per Janet Yellen and Elizabeth Warren and many of the others, how is it that all these exchanges are building up, going global? Binance, the FCA, we just saw what was going on, over here with the FCA over in the UK, right? We see what they're trying to get into, their financial conduct authority. Why are they actively engaging with this? Why are countries actively engaging and trying to put the regulatory clarity in place across the board if this is no longer legit? We see everything is moving in a certain direction, and it's amazing, right? So Sam Fried is in Hong Kong. That's where he set up FTX. And this is, look, he says here, buying U.S. financial giant Goldman Sachs and exchanges like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange in the future, that he might consider buying it. Stuff like that doesn't just happen, right? You have these guys getting ready to buy, all bets are off. It's great. It's great, right? It's amazing. J5 the Great. The SEC never let the investors they claim to protect file claims on their settled cases to get a portion of the money back. They line their own pockets and celebrate with posts and speeches. I always wonder, when they get fined, where does the money go? Who gets the money? Oops. All right. Where does it go? What happens to it? I don't know. Now check this out. Now this is interesting because I saw this. This is something that popped up on Reddit. Let's see if we can play this. It's interesting. Now, you look at this and you listen to, you're going to listen to this video. Many of you might have seen it already because it's from a certain professor that once professed at MIT. So, and he's talking here about how his dad used to carry gold coins and diamonds because he had a lack of trust in the government. I don't know exactly what his dad did, but he was also armed, and he gets into it. So here we go. Let's watch this. Oh wait, you probably can't hear it because I didn't share the audio. Start over again. All right, let's start this over again. I'll just zoom in. Okay, here we go.
Happened during this period, Elon? The mortgage crisis, or more broadly, the financial crisis. So there was, I think, more than quantitative easing. I think that this whole sense that Satoshi Nakamoto tapped into too is central institutions are failing. So should there be a run to physical cash? It's not gold, but is this more in some cases safe than commercial bank deposits? Now, my dad, if he would have been, well, he was alive during this period, but he would have been taking his money out of the bank and getting gold. Simon, you haven't heard this story, but my dad always had some gold coins and a few diamonds. He inherently did not trust government. He also carried a gun most days too.
Now, I find it interesting, this came up, and we're going to read some of the comments that came afterwards. But I look at this and I think about his dad was concerned about people like him. The irony of it, right? The irony of it. It's amazing. It really is amazing, right? And this trust, and it's just, they think it's funny, right? The lack of trust. Now you go through and you're wondering, and you're like, I don't know. It's just interesting. But now these comments that are posted onto this video are what's so amazing, right? So, and again, these are the people in the space, all of us commenting, watching, seeing how he was at MIT, was a professor, taught on the subject. Everyone thought because he knows the subject, he's going to do a good job. Now let's look at what they said. This guy, X Stuck. I love Professor Gensler, but I am still cautiously watching SEC Chairman Gensler. It's cool to see this side of him, but you must separate the man from the job. He could be a godsend for crypto, or he could strangle the innovation at the wishes of institutional influences. Only time will tell. One positive thing, though, it's super refreshing having someone with actual working knowledge of Bitcoin in a position of power. This fosters much more of an actual debate. Now, does it? Does it actually benefit? Is it refreshing? I guess it is kind of refreshing because we're saying we want people in Congress to have some understanding of it. But just because he understands it, does that mean that he's actually going to do what's good? What's up, Apex? So look at this one, class action now. Yeah, I watched the intro to crypto class he did at MIT. Before all this, I have a hopeful yet skeptical eye on him. Fun fact, he has a twin brother. Didn't know that. Final countdown to moon. It could have been better if they put someone ignorant. It was going great till last year because you could just walk up and say, hey, internet money is going to replace the dollar. They would just laugh at you. Now they hate us. Right? And that's true. There's a little bit of truth to what he's saying here. That up until last year, they're like, oh, internet money, that's really funny. Lawless, maybe I'm a hit more trusting But every time they try legislate crypto and it isn't an outright ban, I just see it as legitimizing crypto. That's not bad. Plus, if it wipes out some of the blatant scam coins, that's good too. I don't know if that's 100% off. Every time they try to legislate it, it's still legitimizing it because they don't ban it, but that takes it, anyhow. Yeah, his current big mission is making every DeFi option KYC compliant and creating language to make using an anonymous service illegal. Okay. In the first MIT class video, the only other thing he was excited about is Bitcoin was government legislation. There you go. So you keep going through it. Let's see. Gensler is a Bitcoin attacker. The White House language on crypto legislation had to have his input, but the biggest attack is going to be CME futures, cash settled Bitcoin ETF. Goes on and on, but I look at this, it's crazy. Look at this. Computer says if he is not doing what his bosses tell him, he's going to be sacked. If you think he has any influence on major decisions, you might be in for a surprise. If he aligns himself with what his bosses tell him, he might have some positive influence. Otherwise, his knowledge or talents do not matter. To quote Harvey, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Check that out. That statement is really interesting and spot on. I like that because if he goes against what his boss's wishes are, that's the end of it. That's it, So I don't know. People are back and forth, but I just thought that was an interesting video to kind of go through and dissect a little bit. So, yep. Let's see. Jackie, banks will become exchanges. Exchanges will become banks. I'm not scared. Too many big institutions and banks already here. I agree with that. The question is, who goes first? And this is something we reference a lot. People said Bitcoin replacing banks go away. But just like Jackie's saying, exchanges, they're becoming banks. If exchanges are holding your assets, if exchanges will lend you and loan you money, digital asset, utilizing your digital asset as a collateralized loan, as part of the collateralized loan, they're in banking. If you have a debit card or a credit card or whatever connected to said exchange and you can spend it from that exchange, that's like banking. If you can put your asset on this exchange and earn interest, that's like banking. They're all moving in that direction. They're not banks yet. They'll be regulated like banks, maybe, as things turn and churn and develop. But the lines are being blurred right now, and the old brick and mortar banks are trying to get their act together, maybe not fast enough. Maybe FTX will buy Goldman Sachs and restructure it in the FTX image. Maybe FTX wants access to their database, to their customers. Think about that. And crypto as a side hustle says, you're a bank. Yeah, you could be your own bank. You can get a hardware wallet and you can put all of your assets on the hardware wallet. You're banking yourself. And that's impressive too. That's important. So, all right, let's scroll down here. So Coinbase is extending and expanding into Germany. Now, while we do that, because meanwhile in Kyrgyzstan, have you guys ever heard of Kyrgyzstan? Let me see what's the population of Kyrgyzstan. Let's see, population of Kyrgyzstan. 6.4 million people. Very cool. If you've never heard of it, it's over near Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, north of Afghanistan, south of Kazakhstan. You got all those places. Got a lot going on over there. So, but check this out. So meanwhile, over here in Kyrgyzstan, they just introduced regulation for crypto exchanges. We're seeing a lot of these smaller countries looking around saying, our fiat's not that stable. Our fiat's tied to the euro. Our fiat's tied to the dollar. The digital yuan is expanding. We don't want that. We want to take control of our own outcomes. People are making a shit ton of money in cryptocurrency. Countries around the world are beginning to normalize their acceptance of these digital assets. People in our country are beginning to hold these digital assets as a safe haven from inflationary currency. So Qatar says he sells goats to Kyrgyzstan. Interesting. So check this out. So the government of Kyrgyzstan is moving forward with cryptocurrency adoption by introducing a national regulatory framework for crypto trading platforms. That's so key. Their state service for regulation and supervision of financial markets, Gosfinadzor, butcher that, a regulatory agency operating under the Ministry of Economy and Finance, has developed a draft provision for regulating crypto exchanges. Huge. Reportedly said the new framework would reduce risk and assist in the development of innovative technologies and the formation of a digital economy. These countries get it. They want to be on the forefront. You know what happens when you think you're too smart? You get in your own way. And that's exactly what's happening. They're getting the big countries like the US just getting in their own way because they're tripping over themselves by creating ridiculous legislation in order to appease the lobbyists that, you know, pull all their strings because they hold the strings to the purse. The strings to the purse is what gets them reelected. When they get reelected, they go back and they get their power and they get their millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Maybe it's a cush job. Maybe it's a place to be, you know, but that's key. Now, with all this stuff going on, right? Got tons and tons of amazing things going on. And you guys might have seen this article. I think it's actually not two boys. I think it was a brother and a sister. They created an Ethereum mining operation in their garage. They've since moved it into a big server farm, earning $32,000 per month. 9 years old. Let's see, 14 and 9. They've generated about $35,000 per month. Crazy. 9 years old and 14 years old. In this way, in March of this year, the brothers began mining, I guess his brothers, began mining through an old gaming computer that allowed them to generate earnings of $1,000, approximately 20,000 peso in their first month. They want to continue growing. They were self-taught. So if you tell me it can't be done and it's not changing people's lives, you're full of shit. It can be done and it's changing people's lives. Look at this. $32,000 a month or 14 years old, right? And the electric bill is $32,000. It very well could be. It might be 32. They didn't report that part. They're getting crushed. They need to go to El Salvador. They go down to El Salvador and they can get volcano power, which is better than anything. Josh says, Jeff, how much XRP did Jeff well for vacation? Sell? 0. It's funny. They broke even with their gas fees. I like that. It's funny. Sweet. The Simpsons. So, all right, let's all right, we got time for one more. Oh wait, I went to do you guys see that Ether rock? sold for $1.3 million. I mean, that was crazy, right? Australia, the tax man is cometh for your taxes, your crypto taxes. Apparently, they can track everyone who's been trading in crypto. So they say. But check this one out. So Budweiser bought Bud.eth for a whole bunch of ETH. Here it says you can now use your .com domain to send and receive Ethereum, DNS, and the ENS. The Ethereum name service are now integrated. ENS provides .eth domain names that it says are censorship resistant. ENS names are also Ethereum addresses, so people can send ETH to a website. That's really cool, actually. So if you had bud.eth, you can send Ethereum. That's your address. That's interesting. Huh. All right, makes you think. But now you can use your .com because the ENS and the DNS are going to be intertwined or are intertwined. They announced today that website owners with a domain name system, a DNS, can now integrate directly with ENS without having to change to an ETH, to a .eth name, as they previously would have to do. To me, that's huge news. Things are progressing at a rapid pace. Crypto and all this stuff is being integrated into our current structure, our current system. All those brick and mortars just trying to buy time. It's amazing. It really is amazing, right? Now check this one out. This is the final note, because this goes right into, we have Janet Yellen and all these are always saying digital assets used for nefarious purposes and they can't be tracked, they can't be traced, all that stuff. We all know that Bitcoin is open. You can track it. It's just a matter of, can you track down the originator, who that address belongs to? Well, this man was robbed of 16 Bitcoins, and he finally finds out who the thieves are, and he sues their parents. This is back in 2018, loses about $1 million worth of Bitcoin. And they used a clever piece of digital clipboard stealing malware to siphon off his crypto holders. The kids wouldn't return it. So now they filed a lawsuit in Colorado. And check, he spent $10,000. But two young men in Britain who were both minors at the time of the crime, both are currently studying computer science at UK. Yeah, hell yeah, they stole $1 million. Now their parents are getting sued. So he inadvertently downloaded some software, clicked a link on a Reddit post for this whatever. Look, he went to move his 16 from one account to another. And he loses it. So now it says here, investigators found the other defendant had the malware code that was bundled with the Electrum Atom application. So they end up tracking all this stuff down. They had to do some regular forensic research. They could track that it went from his wallet to their wallet. All this stuff was going on. They tracked them down, pinpointed them, and that was it. And now they're getting sued. Sucks for them. So there you go. So back into the face of the Bitcoin wasn't used for the nefarious purpose, but they stole it using computer technology and corruption. They cheated. They get caught, these kids, and now their parents are being sued for what they did. There you go. There you have it. So, hey, if you guys are brand new here, make sure you guys go through and say, hey, you know what, I'm brand new, and maybe I'll subscribe to the channel. I recommend it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifier, hit the thumbs up. Say, hey, it's so cheesy. Why is everyone always asking hit the bell notifier? When you hit subscribe and the bell notification, one, you get notified 30 minutes prior to our video going live. Gives a little reminder. Secondarily, all these things help the algorithm of Google push the on-the-chain community and the on-the-chain channel to the next level. So anything you can do to help, those three things, always super helpful. And again, new here, hit the subscribe. That's always awesome to see. And wow, that's it. What else? Oh, you guys know we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow's Friday. We don't stream. Back at it again Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then back Sunday. Chip will be back co-hosting the show here on the chain, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Until then, you guys have an amazing weekend and look forward to seeing you guys back on the next one. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.